Welcome back, RealTalkTwinCities.com. I'm Eric the Lone Guy, along with Cheryl Kempen at Coldwell Banker Burnet. We are your resource for all things real estate, your local experts. You can reach out to us at RealTalkTwinCities.com or give Cheryl a call so she can help sell your house in the right way. You know what? I wish I had something to sell every week. I sit here and listen to her, and I'm like, yeah, anyway. So one day, you will sell my house, and I will call 612-735-0553, right, Cheryl?
I'm looking forward to that, and I promise to sell fast and sell high.
I believe it. So in this segment, we've got Elise with Azure Wealth Management. She's going to talk about building a legacy for yourself and how that ties into real estate. Also a rent versus own scenario for folks that are wondering, well, what if I just keep renting? Is it worth it? Is a condo a good investment? We're going to find out in this segment. And Elise, welcome.
Thanks, it's nice to be back again.
Our consistent partner here on RealTalkTwinCities.com. What do you got on the docket today, Elise?
Well, I'm going to talk about college education savings. And, you know, it's funny, I was telling Cheryl when I walked in this morning that my husband and I were sitting at the breakfast table, and he goes, honey, how does college savings relate to real estate? So we're going to...
Little does he know.
Little does he know.
He's an accountant.
Yeah,
Okay.
If it's not on a spreadsheet, he has a hard time figuring it out.
All right, because most guys wouldn't ask that question, right? I mean, you know, wow. But it's just on a topic on. All right, that's awesome. So good for you guys. Probably have a good retirement, I'll bet.
We have a lot of really geeky conversations about tax code and all sorts of things that.
Breakfast chat.
Oh yeah, pillow talk.
Merlot and
How's your IRA performing, honey?
Yeah, no wonder you don't have kids.
Merlot and IRS statutes.
So anyway, this is a topic that's been on a lot of people's minds lately because the White House and President Obama just came out and actually recently dropped a proposal that they had stated they were going to start taxing 529 plans. Or
That lasted a week.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And this just shows, I've got some stats here, it just shows why people get so confused, especially about their finances, real estate, when they listen to so much of this financial media. So here it says the White House originally defended this plan, saying that 70% of account balances in 529 college savings plans were held by households that make more than $200,000 a year. Well then, the College Savings Foundation, a nonprofit that advocates for 529s, came out in response to that and said, actually, by our estimates, 70% of account holders earn less than $150,000.
Right.
So,
Who's right?
Because wealthy people really don't need to save up for their kids' college.
Yeah,
they can probably just
they can
write
probably
a check.
just pay for it,
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, what it does is it just creates confusion. But I've had a lot of people asking, thankfully, just for the record, that proposal has been dropped at this time, at least. But people are still asking me, how and where do I save for college? Because it really can put a ding as parents in what you can do when you get towards retirement. That's a really critical age when your kids are in school. Most parents are getting near retirement age. They may not want to have to, take out a home equity loan to pay for their kids' education or forego, a vacation house somewhere nice because they have to fork over money out of pocket. But first and foremost, I always tell my clients that college education savings is just like what the flight attendant tells you to do with your oxygen mask when you're on an airplane.
Put your head down?
Nope. Secure your own before assisting others.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yes, I never. I'm gonna die.
Never listen.
I'm gonna die.
You're not
I
gonna
mean,
make
it sounds simple, but college savings really has such an emotional draw to it that parents feel like they're not, well, I have to put something where, what are we going to do? And the reality is your kids can get, low interest federal student loans. You can get private student loans. You can't get loans for retirement. Okay, so first and foremost, make sure you are on track for your financial goals before you talk about funding private school, funding college education. I just don't want to have that conversation unless you're on track for other goals. But then there are a variety of places that you can save. There's no silver bullet, just like anything. The first place I usually go is I tell my clients to insure their children with life insurance. People wonder why, but it can make an excellent gift down the road for college education when that cash value has accumulated in it. It also, cash value doesn't fluctuate with the market. So if little Jimmy's going off to college in a year like 2008, you're really not going to want to liquidate any of those education accounts, even if they are pretty conservatively invested.
You mean when the market was way down?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, absolutely. The permanent life insurance cash values would not have gone backwards at that time. So you
Right.
could take first semester costs out of there, use the money, and then wait until your other accounts rebound before you take the money out of there. Life insurance is also an asset that you don't have to use for college, and quite frankly, you don't actually have to give to your kids if you don't end up wanting to. So that's always a good option
So
to
if they
start.
don't go to college, for example.
Yep, they can still use it for anything. I see a lot of parents like to wait till later in life to give that gift to their kids for a down payment on a house, a wedding present.
And then they're also covered in case
Yeah.
something happened tragically to them, and there's funeral expenses that a
Right.
lot of people
Yep.
can't afford.
Yep.
And what happens if, say, your your child decides not to go? You've been saving a 529 plan, for example.
Yep.
What happens if they just say, you know what, I'm gonna can follow my photography passion. I'm moving to Italy, and we'll see you on Skype.
So that's a really good question. So bringing us to 529 plans. 529 plans are sponsored by states or different education institutions to save for college in a tax-preferred way. The money has to be used for education costs. Otherwise, you're penalized the same way that you would be penalized if you used your IRAs or your 401k before 59 and a half. So what happens is if you have a child that's a scholar athlete, doesn't need or goes to Italy to be a photographer, you can change the beneficiary on a 529 plan, but it is restricted. You can only change it to immediate family. Think of a up and down line. You can only really change it to family, and you can only change your beneficiaries once. So, unless you want to get another advanced degree when you're 60 as a mom and dad, you might not want to put all of your dollars into 529 plans.
Gotcha.
529 plans can also be restricting from an investment standpoint because generally each one is funded by a different mutual fund family. So each state takes on, like Virginia is American Funds or T. Rowe Price, Minnesota, or TIAA CREF is Minnesota. You can only invest in those mutual funds. Some people don't like that. So 529 plans are a great place to save, but again, not the end-all be-all. Another place I always encourage people to consider is what's called an UTMA account. Stands for the Uniform Transfer to Minors Act. And basically it's like putting money in a trust for your children. It's irrevocable once you give the kids some money, but you can virtually put anything in there. Property could be owned in an UTMA. Any type of investments could be owned in an UTMA. The problem with UTMAs though is that the kids get the money or whatever assets are in it at the age of majority. So if your children have poor habits, poor hobbies, things you don't support, the money does become legally theirs at 18 or 21 depending on which state you live in. So it's kind of a balance of your personal goals and what you want to do and what your kids really want to do, what you think your kids may want to do. So yeah, but working with somebody like me helps you drill down those goals, drill down those priorities, and figure out what's best for you so that you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket and realizing you made a poor choice, or you're not waiting until when your children are in school and you're writing checks at current value to the financial institutions when you could have been saving even just a little bit from way back when your children were born. It really adds up.
And so the 529 plan, while good, isn't necessarily, like you say, it's not the end. Because I always have this imagination that, well, I don't have kids, but probably will someday. And, I better do a 529 plan, but not necessarily.
What's interesting is I actually assist a lot of my clients in starting 529 plans for their unborn children. You can start it with yourself as the beneficiary, and then once you have kids, you can transfer it to your children. So you can...
What?
Yeah, so you can start a 529 plan, you own it, you're the beneficiary of the account, and then the minute you have children, you can change the beneficiary to your kids.
Oh.
Now again, that can be restricting because if, again, Eric, your future son wants to go live in Italy, like you said,
Right.
you can't change it again. However, it can give you a place to save and make additional contributions, gifting money in a tax-advantaged manner before you even have children.
In worst case, if, you just have to pay the tax hit, like you would have anyway on your income,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But it would grow.
You do
Okay.
pay a 10% penalty, just like your qualified accounts, if the money is used for anything besides education.
Oh, so tax and penalty.
Yeah. Another thing to remember too is I encourage parents, even if they're not going to fund it themselves, to establish one and just put a small amount of money in, because for kids' birthday parties, graduations, it is an excellent place to say, hey, instead of giving money to, the child directly or to us as a family where mom and dad might spend it, put it in the account, write the check to the kid's UTMA account or 529 plan, and it's a neat way to also encourage your kids to watch their accounts and get them started early with investing and watching their finances over the years. It's a really neat place to do that as well. So.
That's a good idea. I can imagine some times when that would have been great. At Toys R Us wondering, which $120 remote control, whatever I gotta buy for.
I think it's a great idea, even for my grandchildren. I can't stand buying them any more toys. They have
And-
way too many.
And there's no limit on how much money can be in a 529 plan for children. Kids could have 10 529 plans. The only restriction is on how much money you can gift in as a donor in any given year. So everybody can put in that $14,000 annually per person as a gift. You can also gift ahead. So there are all kinds of different restrictions, but grandma and grandpa could own one if they want to manage it for the kids. Parents could own one if they wanted to manage it for the kids. Cousins, aunts and uncles, all those things could happen, so.
Well,
Wow.
that's great advice, Elise. I'm really happy to hear that there's ways that people can start to plan ahead, save money, rather than refinancing their home to
Yeah.
put their kids in college.
You can get a hold of Elise Jensen at azurwealthmanagement.com or Real Talk Twin Cities, and they can call you directly, right, Elise?
Yes, they can at 651-300-2456 or visit my website and check out my blog for today's topic,
And what's your website?
azurwealthmanagement.com.
All right, we'll be right back on AM 1280 The Patriot.